Raven is the only player this week not to bring Shaman, and so Mysterious actually had to think about his ban, unlike everyone else today.
Yeah,
He's like,
sure.
well, what is one of Raven's favourite decks? Murloc Paladin. Yeah, okay, well, we won't give him that.
I also think that his Reno Lock just straight up loses to Murloc Paladin in most situations. So
I think one thing to bear in mind as well, though, is last season, Raven told me this, he brought the same heroes, the same characters each and every week, but a different version of decks for each of those characters each and every week. So maybe it wasn't Murloc Paladin at all, but I suppose we will never find out as it was banned. But I'm curious to see what his lineup is actually going to look like, because obviously it's very similar to last week, but whether it's the same decks, we'll have to find out in a few minutes' time. But now that we've seen the decks and we've kind of got an idea of what we're going to be looking at in this series, I'm going to ask you for predictions once more. Gaskin, we'll start with you this time.
3-2 to Mysterious.
I'm copying 3-2 to Mysterious.
Well, I'm going to go against you guys. I'm going to go with my boy Raven. I think with his Hunter powers coming on through, he can channel the energy and maybe even bring out some Enchanted Raven play like we saw earlier on from Jombre, his teammate. Maybe they're going with a similar vein this week. I think he could maybe take this one 3-2, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Mysterious, definitely a player that can take these series as well. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting series, I think. I definitely think this is probably going to be a 3-2, though. I think these two players are pretty close together.
Pending awful draws, this is going to be likely a 3-2. Also, it's worth noting this is completely off the ball, but my predictions last week, my third game was the only one that I messed up. So if there's any one of them to go wrong this time, it's the third game. That could be my crux the entire season.
I'm crossing my fingers that yours is wrong, because that means that I can step into the limelight. Here we go. Starting off with a Barnes Hunter, and quite clearly Enzoth Warrior?
Yep. That's an Enzoth Warrior out of Mysterious, which is what he brought last week, and it was a mid-range Hunter that Raven brought last week as well, so sticking with decks that they both won with, not entirely surprised. And Raven keeping the Abusive Sergeant to start things off with. Barnes on turn 4 is always good, but you are really searching for those high mains, and he's already drawn one, so that reduces the likelihood of it. But in general, Barnes as a 3-4 on turn 4 plus a 1-1, that's not really too bad, is it?
So Chillmore here, without any presence of other dragons, would make me think that this is likely Enzoth Warrior here coming up from Mysterious.
Yeah, we saw the Infested Tauren in the original Mulligan as well, so very, very likely that will be the case here. But not really that many options right now for Mysterious in what he plays. Do you just drop the Fiery War Axe to have that developed for future turns? Would you even consider hitting the 1-1 with the Fiery War Axe and then... I don't think you really want to proc the 3-2.
I think you hope that next turn you draw something like a Ravaging Ghoul, because then you essentially can deal with a lot, and then you have options with your Fiery War Axe. By using a charge on a 1-1, you feel you're almost doing Raven a favour, to be honest. So, I
mean, he's worried here because naturally you'd think, let's just put minions on the board. Oh, let's go Fiery Bat, and then put the Abusive Sergeant as well. But then you're thinking Ravaging Ghoul, or a Revenge or something like that. You haven't seen anything to suggest it's Enzoth yet, so you've got to worry about all those AoEs right now. So you might just Hero Power here.
Yeah, I think that's better. Again, not using the Fiery War Axe would suggest to Raven that there is a plan for a follow-up Ravaging Ghoul.
100%.
Which we know that Mysterious right now doesn't have.
Mysterious with plenty of options in his hand, but you don't really want to use any of them on what's on the board right now. It feels like an overcommitment to really use any of this stuff. The Fiery War Axe is going to be used onto that Fiery Bat in the end. But all in all, can't really achieve too much with that turn.
For sure. Barnes going to come out. Disco Barnes, tell us what you've got.
I'm expecting something like a huge toad. It's usually something pretty underwhelming.
I don't know, the thing is about having Barnes in your Hunter deck is most of the cards in the deck, they're pretty alright to be the 1-1. Most of them have a Death Rattle or an effect like the Divine Shield right here, and if not, then they're some of the topper? That's not really a word.
Topper.
Some of the top tier ones like the Savannah High Main that can really make a huge impact on the game. So I think the thing about Barnes is when you look at it and you actually look through your deck list at what can actually come out, generally speaking, 9 out of 10 times, you're going to find most of the options are pretty palatable for a 4-mana card.
Sure. So Raven playing very conservatively, which I like, you know, not spamming all of his minions onto board. He knows that next turn could be a brawl, and so he's going to just use the Abusive Sergeant onto what's existing already. Playing this a little bit like a face hunter, you know, weaving in as many hero powers as physically possible because you know you want to have those answers in hand to follow up. Now it's actually a bit of an issue, I would say, for Mysterious. He's really got to think through what his best options are, because brawling this, there aren't that many good outcomes. Your best outcome is getting the Kindly Grandmother to survive, and that's a 1 in 4. Then you've got 3 in 4 chance that something bad survives, and you actually get the Death Rattle from the Kindly Grandmother.
Yeah. And then he doesn't want to use the coin for anything either, because he's probably looking towards Chillmore on turn 6 just to try and take some of that damage. I mean, possibly you could just look towards maybe Barnes here and hope for the best. You could bash, but he is going to coin out. He's just going to coin out the Sylvanas. Actually,
A good follow up for Savannah Highmane next turn. Brawl works quite nicely into it.
However,
but it's slow,
Kill
isn't
Command,
it?
Deadly Shot. There are answers in the hand. Do you opt to use some of this removal and then just trade with your own minions here?
Just go face. Like, face is the place right now. You've got a lot of burn in hand.
SM Orc.
SM
I'll take
Orc.
the Argent Squire.
Raven would have been hoping that he basically gave himself a 50-50 odds to have one that had already been taken, and also then could respond to it on board with the Kindly Grandmother. Actually, that's such a good micro play that not many people would have thought about that. They would have just hit everything into face. But what Raven was doing was giving himself the best odds to have the best outcome for himself specifically, which meant he could have either traded Argent Squire or Kindly Grandmother in nicely.
Yep.
So that worked out pretty well there for Raven. And also it does mean that Mysterious can't follow up with a coin Chillmore this turn.
So I think a bash is perfectly acceptable here because it adds to your armor total as well, and you are worried now about those kill commands.
I think you have to start like shield slamming awful minions.
Yeah,
at
you
this
might
point.
have to bash into shield slam into slam really to clear this board.
Yeah. You have execute in hand, right?
I think that's actually a fine play. Bash, shield slam, slam. You get rid of the whole board. Next turn you can play Chillmore. But he's going to go for the YOLO Barnes.
Well, wouldn't be the first time we've seen YOLO Barnes before. That's not a great YOLO Barnes.
That's certainly not. That is going to be a painful turn now. Only 3 damage on board for Raven. However, it's all about the fact that Kill Command is here. Houndmaster as well off the top.
It's not quite lethal either.
No, he's got
one off,
5. Yeah, he'll one off with hero power. So you could beg the question and say, if you don't have an answer, I have next turn lethal, or rather almost next turn lethal with the Argent Horse Rider. But it's always risky to make that kind of play. So I imagine you might start thinking about clearing something here.
He's going to opt to buff up that Kindly Grandmother. We'll just throw another steady shot to face. And I don't think he's going for the trades either. He's continuing to just plow forward into face. And we can see that there's not really many ways for Mysterious to build up an armor stack here to actually keep him alive. And with Kill Command in hand still, that's just, for 5 mana, he's got 7 damage straight from hand, plus the Argent Horse Rider as well. It will be turn 8.
Thing is, right now he could be playing a Chillmore onto a board that probably is just Savannah Highmane as well, if he had gone for the kind of removal play before rather than going for Barnes. But now he's just got to work with what he's got, try and gain some armor, but unfortunately I don't think it's going to be enough, especially with Kill Command and the Argent Horse Rider plus hero power being available for Raven.
He's going to have to use Bash as well. He can hope for the 50-50 here. I think that's the best chance he has at giving himself a fighting opportunity in this game. 50-50 is 1, technically.
I'm not sure if it counts as a win, though, when you're against the Hunter with a Kill Command.
Yeah, it's very true.
But actually, he can't activate the Kill Command at this stage now.
Not yet.
But that is certainly an activator. It's going to be quite happy to just drop down the Savannah Highmane, though. And again, just asks his opponents what he's going to do about it.
Revenge off the top is nice.
Revenge off the top is very nice.
It means he's got the option of just hero powering here, shield slamming this high main. And actually, he doesn't even necessarily need to use it. You could just drop your chill more, but I guess you are worried about kill command being procced by Beast being left on board. You have got to be concerned about that. I think Mysterious is still in this, actually.
Just about, for sure. You were also kind of worried. I actually wouldn't be so averse to using Execute here, because it saves you having to slam up, and then maybe
now you use the revenge,
yeah, maybe then you even can just Ravaging Ghoul on the board and then armor up as well, which actually is giving you the best fighting chance of doing anything remotely useful next turn as well.
I think the major concern right now for Mysterious is we'll get to the point in the game where Call of the Wild could come out at any point, and that will be just about lethal in most scenarios. Raven continuing to weave in these steady shots, making sure that the hero power from Mysterious cannot stack up armor, and keeping him in just about range of the kill command.
Shield block is pretty big, but you can't play Chillmore and shield block this turn.
I mean, shield block, it gives you a way to take the wolf out without just trading your own 3-3. But even if you deal with the wolf, there's still those two spiders, and these spiders do count as beasts. It's not like the Haunted Creeper, so...
With Chillmore plus hero power,
you survive with 1 HP.
Just about survive with 1 HP.
Unless Raven draws something that kills Chillmore.
Or another kill command.
Another kill command, or even quick shot. Yeah, there's so many outs for Raven that if Chillmore is the play here...
And I think that's what Mysterious has to liberate in his head. He's got to be thinking, am I going to shield block and search for some form of answer? But what is that answer? There isn't much.
Another Ravaging Ghoul.
Infested Tauren, perhaps? It's another taunt, but...
So, any form of direct damage is lethal here for Raven. Not quite.
No.
Because you've got 4. You can get rid of Chillmore, but you can't get lethal here.
But you could, if you really wanted to. I think you just kill command here, actually. I think you kill command the Chillmore. Run one of your 1/1s into it, or even the 2/1 if you fancy, but I guess not because of Ravaging Ghoul you're worried about.
Yeah. And
then just go into face, and then you have 2 Unleash the Hounds in hand to kind of throw.
Yeah, and also it stops the N'Zoth being played next turn, because... there is the chance of just lethal just happening, because you really want to weave in as much armor as possible right now for Mysterious.
There's always the worry is if there's a dragon in hand as well. We know really that N'Zoth Warrior doesn't run any dragons usually, but you never know. You might get kind of that Deathwing being there as well.
Or even something like a Azure Drake if someone's going for a odd angle.
So percentage play, what's the best percentage play here for Mysterious?
So N'Zoth summons another Chillmore.
It summons a Chillmore.
Sylvanas.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how many Unleashed the Beast. Oh, that's a pretty good...
That suddenly makes N'Zoth next turn look a lot more inviting.
For sure. The only issue is you've got to worry about these Unleash the Hounds that Raven has got currently in hand. Well, that brings a high main back.
And Infested Wolf. Off the top of my head. I think you refill the board with N'Zoth again.
Yeah.
And a lot more than I forgot. Yeah, of course, all the Furry Warbats, of course. But there is a Brawl.
There's double Brawl as well. How good is that for you? How good is double Brawl for you right now?
I think on 10 health, double Brawl's not too bad, you know.
I really think it depends as well on which targets survive the Brawls. Because there's a lot of very powerful death rattles coming out here.
Yeah.
I feel like you need to Brawl. You need to. In fact, I am actually the only play is double Brawl.
So I think your best option from the first Brawl is something like the Argent Horse Rider surviving, so that all those death rattles are initiated. And then you Brawl again. Well, I mean, best case scenario is your own minion survives, right?
Yeah,
but, I mean,
that would be the ideal situation, but that's a 1 in 8 here for Mysterious.
Imagine if the Savannah survives this. That is going to be so brutal for Mysterious. It is going to get taken out. Infested Wolf survives though, so again, it's one of those death rattles that means more minions will enter the board again off the second Brawl. unless it just wins outright. Either way, not a fun situation for Mysterious.
That's probably the best.
That's the best case.
That's the best case outcome, I would say.
Yeah.
Tracking for Call of the Wild, perhaps?
Trapping for anything, really. Kill command's lethal, right?
Yeah, Kill Command is lethal. So there we have it. That is going to be Raven managing to take this one. I like the use of Enzoth in that deck as well, you know, because it's the thing about putting Enzoth in that Hunter is the Hunter deck itself is pretty much the same as any other mid-range Hunter. It's not like you have to weave in extra death rattles, because most of the cards in a mid-range Hunter these days generally have death rattles anyway.
And it can run out of steam, the Hunter, and that we saw it happen. He just refilled his. Without that, I reckon he'd lost that game. I think Mysterious probably would have survived just about. Every turn he was just finding a way to stay in it. But that Enzoth really changed it. So a great addition. I have seen a few people running that, so I'm not surprised Ravens kind of chucked that in as
It was very popular when Old Gods first appeared. I mean, Savannah Highmane is one of the best death rattles in the game, right? So Enzoth Hunter always made sense. People were like, there's just better variants of it. Paladin was always super popular. Warrior became very popular, obviously, as you've seen a couple of times. But, you know, Hunter was always kind of like this mid-range Enzoth deck. It was less orientated to super control, more orientated to mid-range Hunter, put pressure on in the mid-game, and then if I run out of steam, I have Enzoth to just refill my board, which is great, you know. I think one of the big swing turns maybe in that game, that clear turn, maybe it would have been a different outcome. You just don't know.
Possibly.
Yeah, certainly the case. Well, here we go into the second game of this series. You know, that was a very long first game of the series as well, which, with Hunter decks as a general rule, you don't tend to see games last as long as that. But it's going to be Dragon Warrior coming out for Raven now. And I believe it's up against this Control Warrior once again.
Yeah. Throws away the Barnes. He says, I'm not going to wait till turn 4 to play him. He didn't do me any favours last game, so I'm not going to trust him this game.
Serves him right.
Does serve him right.
Blinking Barnes.
Bloody Barnes. So Alexstrasza's champion isn't going to be activated, unfortunately. Which is, it's not very often that happens in Dragon Warrior, actually. Usually you've got something there. A Crusher, maybe.
So you don't see many 3-0 sweeps especially in Conquest format. However, if you were to 3-0 sweep something, I feel like Control Warrior would be one of the decks that you could do it to, given the right situation.
Yeah, Mysterious did lose twice last week with his Arena Warlock, so he has come back before from losing 2 in a row to start with.
For sure.
Well, I think Mysterious had 1-2 first.
Oh, okay. Then
it was almost a reverse sweep.
Yeah, you're right.
It was Jambray he beat as well.
It's easy fiery Aurochs right now for Raven.
So actually as well, this is Raven's opportunity to avenge his teammate. Yeah. Jambray lost last week. His first game in the Premiership. Raven is going to be furious about that. You can see it in his eyes. You can almost see the little torpedo logo in each pupil.
Not Torpedo GG as I'd been saying earlier in the night.
There isn't a great way to deal with this. You could Blood to Wicker and then take 4.
I feel like that's probably what you do as a Control Warrior against a Dragon Warrior. You know you've got removal. Just take the damage, save your executes, save your shield slams for the things that are going to really matter, like Draconid Crusher.
Does the Enzoth Warrior run Justicar? Off the top of my head, I'm not sure if it does.
Don't think so, no.
So it's very different. You can be kind of a little bit more crazy with your life total, but not as much so as like a real Control Warrior, I guess.
Well, here we go. Raven putting on the pressure, saying you've got to take 8 damage to deal with this Korkron Elite.
Does have the shield block to get some armor and draw as well, which I think he's going to have to do after hitting this.
Yeah, you do it after,
Korkron.
For sure. I mean, even if you get shield slam, you're probably not going to want to use it, so...
But then Raven's hands look pretty tasty. I mean, if you can draw a dragon next turn, then Fierce Monkey into Alexstrasza's champion is fantastic, and then
pretty ace.
The Curator later just to refill his hand as well. This is what Dragon Warrior can do. Dragon Warrior is a very dangerous deck, and
absolutely.
If you asked me, what would I rather bring, Enzoth Warrior or Dragon Warrior, I think I'd say Dragon Warrior every day of the week.
I feel like Dragon Warrior's just got better matchups in general. I actually prefer the Fatigue Warrior variant that people seem to be bringing over in Zoth Warrior at the moment too.
Yeah. But I think that's its style of play and what you're comfortable with playing.
And
there's the dragon.
Yeah, Azure Drake off the top. And Mysterious feeling punished right now for that play with the rather greedy play as well with the Acolyte of Pain. He picks up Bash, which isn't awful here.
And are you in a position where you have to use an execute here, possibly? Are you... I think you slam first, maybe, just to see what you can get.
I feel like slam is a good option here. Daniel Gaskin.
Thank you for using my full name when agreeing with me, but actually he's going to go for just a Ravaging Ghoul here. And
I think I like this as well, just because he's not too worried about getting close to lethal just yet. He still has over 20 HP.
He's basically forcing the trade, right? He's saying, okay, whatever.
It's kind of like inadvertently taking it out. But I mean, there is always the option to just go face here. Like with the 3-1, it forces something else out because there's not. It's very unlikely that another Ravaging Ghoul will be in hand. Like you are the aggressor in this matchup.
Yeah, I completely agree. The only issue is you are punished by something like another Ravaging Ghoul or even just a Revenge. To be honest, we know that Mysterious doesn't have it, but you know, had that been the case, one more Ravaging Ghoul or a Revenge would have been almost destructive for Raven's board state. But we see Raven's got the Curator to just fill his hand up next turn, so he's probably not too worried about having a super healthy board because he knows he can just refill things pretty easily.
it's quite a nice turn here. It's just to slam, throw a War Axe, clear the whole board, and then shield block just to gain some more armor and draw a card.
Sure. Got Brawl now.
So the tools are starting to enter Mysterious's hand, and he can reset this board, which I think is important. Against Dragon Warrior, you just constantly need to try and reset that board because it can get out of hand very quickly.
I completely agree. It's going to go back up to 21 life total, but his actual life is bordering that very crucial 15 mark that the Draconid Crusher will take advantage of.
And unfortunately, no dragons in hand. I think this forces the Curator out from Raven this turn. There's not really another option. You want to use that Blackwing Corruptor, but without another dragon, it's just not an option, unfortunately. So we'll drop the Curator. I've got to say, on turn 7, unless you've got other things on the board, dropping the Curator never feels that great. It's only a 4/6 minion. Obviously, it is a taunt, but if you're against a control matchup, that is basically irrelevant. It always feels kind of underwhelming when you are forced to drop that without it protecting anything else.
I mean, I don't know. I like it. I like it on turn 7. I just think that you're drawing cards and you putting a body on the board. I know what you mean. It could just be executed like anything else, but his other option was, like you said, if he had a dragon in hand, maybe Blackwing Corruptor, but even that doesn't feel too great. Blackwing Corruptor plus armor.
There aren't many other 7 drops that a Dragon Warrior would think to run, to be honest. Chillmore maybe, but you don't want... Chillmore kind of does exactly the opposite of what you want to achieve, which is clear your own board. That's Tempo Warrior, which we haven't seen in a long time. I'd love to see Tempo Warrior come back, you know.
Let's ask Ball Control to do it again.
I've got to be honest. Maybe I've just been unlucky in recent play, but I'm kind of falling out with the Curator version of Dragon Warrior. And I'm seriously considering, like, kind of experimenting with other, like, older variants of the Dragon Warrior again. Because this is one of the things that we were talking about earlier as well. Like, it's not like the older decks have stopped working. So when you look at, like, the classical zoo, that's still very capable of winning. And it's the same, I mean, Dragon Warrior itself, it's not really that different to what it was originally. It's just kind of the addition of the Curator. So
what I love about the Curator is it's basically what Ancient of Law was before the nerf, right? I mean, it draws cards and it's a solid body as well, if not better than what Ancient of Law was. But I know what you mean. Sometimes it just does feel a little bit underwhelming, but I think it's here to stay, unfortunately. And the fact you've got those beasts and dragons in this deck now.
Do we execute now? Because 5 damage feels like a lot to take. When you don't run Justicar Trueheart as well.
Does feel like a lot.
Or you just Grommash. You literally just Grommash and say you've got to have execute.
Looks like he's going to do exactly that. Drops the Grommash, we'll be able to get a nice trade as well. Clear the board. But
1 damage off lethal.
there is a Grommash in both players' hands here. And I would expect that to come out from Raven.
I like just throwing some taunts down here and hero powering.
Because then you have guaranteed lethal, or at least you think you have guaranteed lethal.
But Infecting Tauren might kind of change that.
Yeah, but obviously Raven doesn't know that.
Yeah,
so.
but this isn't looking too great for Mysterious now. There's no way to gain any extra armor at the moment.
Double brawl is okay. I mean, do you just have to say... like, I need the 50-50 at this point?
I think you could slam first.
Yeah, you could slam first. Because you need to deal with these.
You have to be considering that Grommash plus Bloodtwicker is in the hand of your opponent at all times, I feel, when you're on this life total.
You can't shield slam the Fairy Dragon. That ain't Falco.
So he may be forced to execute here.
I think
you execute, then you kill the dragon, and then you drop your infested Tauren just to get a taunt on board. But
you say maybe forced. That's the only way he survives.
Yeah. Well, we know that.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean.
It's the
like,
glory we have.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like this way is the only way he survives. Obviously, the other option he could run is brawl. He knows. He knows. Why else would Raven make the play with Corruptor if he's not threatening lethal in the next few turns? That's the thinking process that you've got to go through when you're in Raven's mind.
Well, we'll see what Raven will have to.
Nice.
Nice.
I think that's a pretty solid pickup to answer this scenario. Gets a nice 9/9 on the board. Could even drop a Fierce Monkey just to protect it if you really want to.
I think he wants to weave in the hero powers because he wants to make sure that he's consistently keeping him, or making the hero power of Mysterious obsolete.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also reducing that shield slam doing any real damage.
Yeah, double shield slam. That's not what you want to see.
So I think Brawl. Oh, how many minions have come out from Enzoth?
I don't think we've seen many Death Rattles, you know, Munch.
It's like the Infested Tauren, and I think that's it.
That's it. He hasn't even died yet.
He may have had 2 Infested Taurens. Did he have one earlier?
No, this is I think this is the first Death Rattle we've seen from him.
Game 1 and 2 are blending in my mind.
Yeah.
I don't want to confidently say, yes, I've definitely seen 2 Taurens, because I can't say that. But his only option here might be to brawl, or you just kill off that Tauren and then play Enzoth and say, look, I've got another taunt. But I think a brawl is probably the safer play.
He has to go for the 1 in 3 here.
You've got shield slams to do 2 damage. Oh, it gets rid of the Crusher, so that is important, but
Doesn't matter, yeah.
it's not enough.
He needed the 1 in 3.
It's the moral victory.
It's the moral victory. He needed the 1 in 3 to survive here. The 1 in 3 did not survive. And now, for mine and Dan's predictions to come true, we have to see a complete reverse sweep.
We do. And I'm sure Raven will tweet me and say, hey, never doubt me.
He'll say, why did you bet against me, bucko?
Well, there we go. That's going to be 2-0 to Raven. And he's looking pretty confident in this series.
Yeah, he's sitting pretty at this stage. 2-0 up. Mysterious. He's got a mountain to climb at this point. Now, we haven't seen the Warlock from Mysterious just yet. And I think that's something that maybe it's time for him to fall back to and kind of say, like, maybe I can get a win with this deck that I've played 1,000 million times before. I've had a lot of success with it in the Premiership. Do you think that's maybe something he'll go to, or do you think just stick to this Control Warrior until you get the win?
What's the final? Was it Druid for Raven? The final.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because we were discussing whether it would be Beast Druid again.
Yeah, he has Paladin ban, so he has Druid left.
If that's combo Druid, I would be.
Combo Druid?
You know, like
I doubt it's combo Druid.
I hope not.
I'm saying combo Druid is Malagos combo Druid these days. If that's Malagos Druid, I would be almost inclined to maybe not think about using my Reno Paladin.
Just to stay with Enzoth Warrior, perhaps?
I feel like it's the better matchup. He's actually going to go Druid for Druid here. And it is a double Auctioneer Druid coming out from Mysterious.
So well and truly, it must be the Malagos Druid here. And what a hand for Raven. I mean, it's so good. I'm being sarcastic. His head fell into his lap.
He does get the Living Roots.
Oh, okay, yeah. Living Roots kind of makes up for it, doesn't it?
And decides he's not the kind of player that wants to use that early for the 1-1. So he wants to hold on to that for later on in the game.
I think in this matchup, that's fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're saving it for that Malagos, right? If he is playing Malagos, but that's the thing with Druid at the moment. There are several variants going around. One with Malagos, one without Malagos.
Multiple variants, my friend.
Wild Growth is nice. It certainly helps in any Druid mirror.
Raven with the nice small nod of the head. You've done pretty well so far, Raven. You can afford to have a slightly off game. Don't worry about it, buddy.
So I think just hero power, to be honest here.
He wants to start
actually
getting.
Go for Living Roots.
Yeah. He wants to start getting something down, basically. Otherwise, he kind of has nothing to do, and that almost feels awful. So Living Roots coming through is you at least threatening something on board, that it's like 2 damage every turn, which may not seem a lot right now, but if those Living Roots don't get dealt with and you continue to ramp, that's going to stack up to a potentially impactful amount of damage across the series.
So Mysterious does opt for the ramp up from the Mire Keeper, which is perfectly acceptable. This mirror is just a race of who can get to 10 mana first and start using their big minions. Raven opting to ramp up as well, of course. And, I mean, Raven has the Yogg.
And I like this, using the 1 mana, using the 1 damage, sorry, to cycle.
Yeah.
And trade in as well means that he's going to find more options for future turns, because had he gone for the 3 damage there, if you look at the rest of his hand, he basically had nothing to play in the following turn. It's going to mean he gets his Fandral Stag Helm available, but there's nothing in hand right now that can combo with it.
For sure, that's a double cycle here for Mysterious, and he gets the, well, Starfire's probably the best out of the lot, and he is going to go for it. That's a pretty good. I'm happy with that.
I mentioned how there was
really
nothing to combo. Well, that's the perfect one. Gets a nice bit of a draw off the top of killing the Auctioneer as well. So now he's found his Malygos. He's basically found all 3 of his late game threats at this stage.
Yeah. So both decks
Starfire
clearly do have Malygos. That is confirmed now. But Starfire's good here. Removes that Fandral Stag Helm, which is a horrible, horrible threat. And it draws you a card at the same time.
Now Arcane Giant, the clear play for Raven. Just going to drop that 8/8 and just say to his opponent, hey Mysterious, what you got? How are you going to deal with this?
So we could just see Theresian come down for Mysterious, and then he has the follow-up with Wrath the following turn. The reason you would potentially consider... okay, he was just go straight for that. But the reason you potentially consider Theresian is you've actually got both Living Roots in hand. They all become 0, and that's good for your Malygos.
I think Mysterious been kind of outswagged a little bit here. He matches the Arcane Giant, but his isn't golden. Feels bad, man.
And no one outswags Raven, by the way. He's just... he's literally covered in gold with the amount of gold cards this guy has in his... He's almost the UK scene Reynad.
I'm not sure that's a compliment.
minus the salt. The amount of golden cards Raven... Actually, no, to be fair, Sottle has got a lot of golden cards as well.
And a lot of salt. So if you combine both of them, then we have the UK Reynads.
Yeah. Wow, look at this.
Dropping a naked Malygos. He's saying, look, you couldn't deal with the 8/8, so I don't reckon you can deal with my Malygos.
He's threatening. What he's saying is, do you kill my Malygos or do you kill my 8/8 on board? That's actually very clever from Raven, because it's a bluff, right? Because he doesn't actually have... I guess if he draws anything with Swipe, he might actually threaten lethal the following turn. But he doesn't actually have anything in hand right now. So it's a full-on bluff to Mysterious, saying, I'm relying on a top deck.
Well, there is always Yogg-Saron in hand.
Sure.
Well, Yogg-Saron plus Malygos can do terrifying things.
It worries me how much we've said that tonight. There is always Yogg-Saron. He could always come along and save the day.
I don't think that's just tonight. I think that's just in Hearthstone in general.
At the moment, yeah. So he will use a Moonfire. He's not going to save that. He's feeling a little bit desperate at the moment because he is staring down an 8/8 and he does only have 20 health. There's another one.
But at the same time, he's starting to build up a bit of a board for himself. You know, 5/5 and a 4/4, but Swipe will come on through, and that combos perfectly with the other Arcane Giant. That will get low enough now in mana cost.
Might have to see a Yogg here. Looking at it, what are your other options right now?
Swipes, okay.
Swipe, plus Living Roots, plus Bear Rage. Seems like you're using way too much of your combo.
You're using everything there.
Yeah, everything.
And with a double Auctioneer, no other threats that you really start to run apart from your Malygos combo and your Yogg-Saron. How many spells does he use? Not a lot, right? I feel like he almost has to hold on to it just for the sake of the game.
How much did his Arcane Giant cost?
It was
6.
Oh, I thought it was 8.
6, so he's played 6 spells, right?
Mysterious's.
Yeah, Mysterious's.
7 or 8.
Yeah.
So it's going to be maybe a 4 or 5 spell Yogg-Saron, so that doesn't seem like enough of a risk to take against 2 8
He's going to
power
draw.
minions on board.
He's got his own Arcane Giant there.
So do you double Feral Rage here to gain 16 armor?
You could Feral Rage, take out one of the 8-3s, and then play your own Arcane Giant. Okay.
I like this.
Yeah, using those living roots to try and finish these targets off, or at least finish one of them off. Still going to be 8 damage coming on in this turn. Auctioneer has been drawn now as well, but looks like he's going to go for Thorazin. I kind of like this as well, using Thorazin when you've got Auctioneer in hand. It just opens you up to better combos with the Auctioneer later on in the game.
Now do we Yogg?
I think it depends what he draws, because a swipe off the top here would be really good for him. Mulch is amazing as well, actually. Does this give him the opportunity? You mulch Therissian, maybe, and then charge your Feral Rage in.
But you,
oh no, you could mulch the Arcane Giant and Feral Rage, Hero Power, take out Therissian. And then you could take out the Blood Mage Thanos later.
It's just worrying, isn't it, against Malygos Druid? I mean, oh wait, no, of course, he's seen the Malygos. Malygos has already died.
Yeah. You definitely, well, I think you definitely Nourish first.
I think what that other play opens up as well, the Mulch Feral Rage play, is that actually that will make your Arcane Giant free as well. So
exactly,
you can drop that at the end of the turn. That just rounds it out nicely, and means that you do actually have a threat to work with. He's going to drop the Acid Drake to start things off.
He's just going to leave the Emperor on board.
I suppose when there's only 2 minions in your opponent's hand, it's not the end of the world. I've got to say, not ideal either. And we'll give the card draw over to Raven, valuing that over his opponent.
Oh, he didn't get the Arcane. Oh, he did.
Power.
He did.
Oh, you panicked.
Oh, I panicked.
I felt someone grab my arm. I didn't really know what was going on, but Keenan was having a mild heart attack there.
He was seriously concerned. Do you consider Yogg-Saron here?
I don't feel like you're in a huge amount of threat right now. I would consider maybe hoping you draw into a swipe at this point, but...
He might even Witch Doctor into Moonfire here to gain a totem.
Totems. Everyone loves totems.
Might get a Taunt Totem. Obviously, it is only one of the basic totems, so it can't be anything spectacular, but it could be a Taunt Totem, which would help in this situation, slightly.
Could be a spell power too. But you all have already used the Moonfire, so that wouldn't make a big difference. But is looking to use this Moonfire. Actually, just going to go straight to face with it. We'll be able to cycle slightly as well. Let's see what he's going to find. Nourish next turn will definitely be well received by Raven.
Now, this is worrying for Raven because we haven't seen the Malygos from Mysterious, so he may well have that much damage.
We have seen practically everything but one Moonfire, though.
Yeah. I think this is he used both Living Roots?
Yes, both.
So it's just one Moonfire and swipes left, yeah.
I actually quite like using Fandral into Feral Rage here. And then also maybe Nourish afterwards with the Innovate. Because then you get the potential to draw another Wrath.
Who's going to be brave enough to play the first Yogg-Saron? Because these Yogg-Sarons are getting pretty big. It might not even come down to it, in fact. It's that case where you just don't want to discard your own hand or anything like that.
Yeah, nobody really wants to commit to the risk. Because I know Yogg-Saron is often talked about as like this kind of panic button. It's like okay, things are out of control, let's just do this. But actually, it's not like it's a safe to use EMP that just shuts everyone else down. Like, you're in trouble here as well. It's not actually necessarily a good thing to play in most circumstances. So we'll see who is going to go for that nuclear deterrent first. Raven Idol in hand though for Raven. Just for his namesake, I think he has to play that one.
He's discovering a minion.
No, it was a spell.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. Goodness.
Another Raven Idol.
Yeah, another. Innovate's not bad though, because it allows you to make a little bit more fancy-looking plays. But he's going to go for the Raven Idol.
I think he's looking for something specifically.
Is Bite awful here? Bite's not awful.
Why is it always Astral Communion? when you do Raven Idol, almost always it's one of the three.
It's because the Astral Communion Druid, you know? Raven Idol was their backup plan.
Gotta give some love to them.
Bite's fine here, it just allows him to take a big threat off the board. Basically the equivalent of Feral Rage, but just kind of like a medium between the two.
Yeah, feels bad though to leave that Fandral Staghelm on board. Certainly not a good situation, and it means that this Nourish, although to be fair, the Nourish is still just draw 2 at this stage in the game.
Yeah,
I think you do get the extra draw.
You get the extra
as well,
mana, so what he could do is Nourish first, see what he gets, then innovate out Malagos if he really wants to.
Yeah, there is something to say about putting Malagos on the board as well, to try and say, look,
So you can't innovate out Malagos, I'm talking rubbish.
you couldn't get rid of Arcane Giant, so maybe you're going to have to Yogg here. You Yogg first.
Yeah, for sure. You could Wild Growth first as well to add some more spells onto the Yogg-Saron, because Yogg-Saron is discounted twice now, or rather once. No, twice. It is twice.
Twice, yeah.
And Raven takes a sigh, and he is going to just watch.
It's
the
kind of
events
that face of
unfold.
like, well, here we go.
Well, I thought he.
Shadow Form.
Love it. Shadow Malfurion.
Drawing
Rage.
cards in
Free
general is not
Feral
great.
Rage.
Kind of Cold is good here. You Raven Idols. Draws a Wrath. Lightning Storms.
I have seen worse Yoggs so far. Well, I take that back.
Ice Block's great. Another Farsight.
Yeah, you don't want to be drawing cards, that's the only problem.
Iron Forge
Iron
Portal.
Portal helps. Oh! No, he doesn't have Malagos left.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, that would be ridiculous. Repentance is good. Actually, as far as it goes,
It was a good Yogg.
that was a good Yogg.
Good Yogg. Now we see Yogg number 2, possibly.
Good Yogg.
It's like good Yogg,
Good
bad Yogg. Innovate, Yogg.
Do you Nourish first, though? Because just why not, right? You just add 3 spells to your Yogg-Saron.
It's... My only worry is you Nourish, you bring cards in, and then you could Astral Communion and get rid of them. I don't know. I think it looks like he's worried about playing that. No, he's just going to Hero Power first. I feel like throughout Hearthstone broadcasting in general, we do need some music for when Yogg-Saron is played. Just all around. So everyone can enjoy the experience that is unfolding in front of us.
Well, okay, when you have Malagos on board and you play Yogg-Saron, there is some stuff that is going to happen here.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, here we go. Quick shot
Oh,
for 8.
for 8.
There goes...
Flare
Flare!
deletes all the secrets. See you later, Ice Block.
Goodness. Well, so far it's not been that ridiculous. The Malagos, it's not really come into effect. See if that's going to continue to be the case. I wish I could hover and see how many cards are left for each of the players. Oh, the ambush actually could come into play.
That helps
especially
Raven, yeah. It's exactly what I was thinking. If it comes down to fatigue. Bane of Doom, well, that's going to summon a demon because 7 damage is going to kill someone. Hi, Malkazar. Welcome to the party.
Okay, they're on about 4 cards each apparently into production. As everything is just getting nuked off of the board right now.
That is what happens when you play Malagos.
That was the perfect ending as well, just removing all of his board. Those Azure Drakes aren't going to be the greatest of cards to have Thistle Teeth.
No.
Hello, Ambush. Hello, another ambush. Let's make it 3 out of 3.
Oh, nearly.
Right, realistically now, what can Raven do? He's got an Ancient of War for just 4 mana as well. That feels pretty nice.
You can technically deal with the Malagos with Azure Drake, Swipe, Moonfire. Do you just Moonglade Portal at this point? No.
I think he's thinking, well, what spells has he got left? But there is that Swipe, which is gonna just completely wipe out that Ancient of War.
Yeah, I think he has to think, unless he's been calculating, he has to think that Swipe is a thing. I guess he can't play around it at this point, though.
It's such a big Swipe as well. 9 damage to the main enemy.
You could even drop an Azure Drake
even,
first, since
literally.
you've got so many of them to play with, just to make sure that it finishes them off.
And unfortunately, I think this is going to be the win for Mysterious, just looking at this board.
Unless there is some sort of play around somehow fatiguing, which it'll be difficult. Starfall's pretty huge as well. You
10 damage to a minion or 7
or
damage,
7
to,
damage
all.
to all minions, right?
And I think you use that as well, because then you've got your swipe to face as well as that. So you could now Starfall and swipe, you clear the whole board, and you can go face with all your minions.
Absolutely.
Well, goodbye Age of War. Goodbye the rest of Raven's board. This is certainly shaping up nicely for Mysterious, and he still has plenty in his hand to play with at this stage in the game. Even going to use his hero power just to get that extra little chunk in. Not wanting to use those Azure Drakes, because I think he's well aware that he is running low on cards.
Yeah, and there's the ambush. Almost 3 in a row. I think at this point Raven has to say, what have I got?
I was going to say Discover into Yogg-Saron, but you can't even play
Praying for Twisting Nether, but unfortunately I'm not sure that'll be the case. And really an unfortunate selection of spells here. I think Bite has to be the decision.
I feel like you go Witch Doctor here and just start spamming totems and hope you just get loads of loads of taunt totems.
Well, here we go. Just
how close is he? Not that close, right?
Wait.
No way.
I don't think so, no. I think he's dead next
to... No, I have job done, so he's... Yeah. I just panicked for a second. I looked down and saw all these spells.
No.
It was like...
The thing is that one spell power just does not enable the Moonfires anywhere near enough, and that is going to mean that we're still in this series. Raven so close to taking the sweep there, but it's going to be knocked down by his opponent's Yogg Druid. That means Mysterious has got one on the board. 2-1 is the score now. And Mysterious, he's looking to get himself back into this series, and we'll see. You know, Mysterious changing his deck for that third game. Now he's got the Druid out of the way. Does he go back? It was Warrior originally, right? That he was playing. So does he go back to that? Do you maybe look towards the Reno?
I think you just flip a coin.
Yeah,
I don't think
almost
it really
feel it doesn't
matters too much.
If I were going to choose, I'd probably take the Inzoth Warrior, because Druid has a hard time clearing board. Inzoth can be a game killer as long as Yogg-Saron doesn't do anything crazy to you. There's Justicar Trueheart.
Yeah.
He actually has it, and that's a card I almost feel like you keep in this matchup, because it is such an important card to making sure you survive through combo.
I completely agree with you. Yeah. And I didn't even know if it was in the deck, because we didn't see it in those first 2 games. They were just... Obviously, it was just buried in the 30-card deck of Mysterious. So I think you get rid of Gorehal, for sure. Oh, but he's going to get rid of Justicar.
No.
I mean, when you get a Brawl and an Execute as a return, it doesn't really feel too great getting rid of it. But I suppose it's plenty of removal. But the ramp-up options are there for Raven already. Wild Growth is there. He's going to Raven Idol on turn 1, which is a very unpopular opinion throughout many Hearthstone pros. I mean, Blood of the Ancient One. Why not throw a 9/9 on the board later on?
What's more interesting is that he went for the minion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he's saying, look, okay, I'm facing down this warrior, which I need to get a board presence against, and I don't have any minions that I can play early on right now, so let's see what I can find.
I already have Wild Growth, because the only reason you would Raven Idol turn 1 is to get Wild Growth for turn 2 if you didn't have it in hand. I think that's the most sensible option, because the rest of those cards are trash, so...
It's alright, later on he can play another Raven Idol, get another Ancient Blood one, and then he can get that 30-30 on board that no one is ever going to see in competitive play.
Because it's just, it's a bit like Thaddeus, that we only ever saw sort of towards the end of his reign.
People have tried that Barnes into Blood of the Ancient One, and it works sometimes, but... Anyway, on to the game.
That's pretty cool, actually.
It does work. I've seen it, but
it's almost as good as Ishaj.
Not quite.
Or is it the start of your turn it merges?
It's the next turn, I believe.
Ah, yeah. Okay, that makes less sense then.
Shacklight Pain is on board, and I don't think you worry about it if you're Raven.
No, because you can Nourish and Wrath.
Yeah. And already he's going to be on 7 mana next turn, which means he can drop the Arcane Giant.
And suddenly things are not looking too happy for Mysterious. He's sitting on a lowly 4 mana with nothing to play, except for Shield Block.
Shield Block here is nice. He does have the follow-up next turn of Ravaging Ghoul plus Execute to deal with an Arcane Giant if an Arcane Giant does come onto the board. But I guess, I mean, Blood of the Ancient One is another big threat, and it is another minion that Raven could put on the board, and you want to get rid of those removals from... Oh, there's Arcane Giant as well. So we're looking at here, him playing an 8-8, then an 8-8, then a 9-9. And that does beg answers. I mean, I know Warriors are probably the best at removing those big minions, and you do have Executes in hand of Mysterious, but that seems pretty good.
In Raven's mind, you're thinking, there can't be this many answers. Whereas where we can see, he's got a lot of answers.
I mean, what's the likelihood of him 2 Executes in his first 10 cards?
But as Raven, do you want to try and pull out Executes, right? You want to make sure your Malagos probably ends up being on board.
Well, this is true. He could, quite rightly, in the next 3 turns, soak up both Executes, possibly Shield Slam as well. And then your Malagos is looking pretty good when it does eventually come down. But it's whether you get to that point. There is Barnes.
Yeah, Barnes probably won't come down because you have to deal with this 8-8, and I think the best way is either slam and draw a card, or he's going to go and try and get something on board, so it will be Ravaging Ghoul into Execute here. Which actually probably slightly better, gives you some options to deal with any follow-up minions coming out from Raven.
So the Raven Idol does allow Auctioneer to get some value here.
Raven probably once again there.
Wow. None of those feel pretty good. I mean, at this point, do you just go for Loot Hoarder for the card draw? Because I guess Ginny is okay, but you haven't got any spells in your deck because you've used both Raven Idols as well that are going to give you anything that Ginny makes use of. So it's just like a 5-mana 4/6, which is good, but then maybe Loot Hoarder is better because you cycle.
I think that's what Raven's thinking about now. He's thinking, is there anything that makes this useful? He's thinking, probably not, but
it's a 4/6.
It's a body.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I need bodies if I'm going to win this game. He needs to keep up the pressure on this warrior and not allow the armor totals to get out of control, basically.
So Barnes, I think Barnes is a good turn here because you can slam to follow up and deal with this Auctioneer.
Yeah, and what are the high rolls for Barnes in this Ensoft deck then?
Anything with the Death Rattle.
Yeah.
And that is a high roll.
That's pretty much as good as it could have got.
And Mysterious is smiling away.
I like Mysterious.
Mysterious is just there like, what did I do to deserve this?
I love his sort of like, he doesn't really show much emotion when these kind of things. If that was me, I'd be like, oh my god, yeah. Mysterious is just like, I'm happy this has happened.
Yeah, nice.
Raven's really thinking, because Swipe, obviously, most people would think, oh, it looks attractive, Swipe here, but actually Swipe just ends up putting up more power on board, essentially, so, or rather, exactly equivalent power, but he's going to go for the Emperor here, which probably walks straight into a Gorehowl.
The best thing about getting a Death Rattle minion as well, of course, in Zoth, is it means it's another minion that has died.
Exactly.
So in theory, later he could get 2 Kens if he plays another Ken. So it is. I do love the addition of Barnes. I think it was a fantastic card from Karazhan. It is a crazy card. It's another one of those high roll cards that there is some kind of question about. People don't particularly enjoy it, but I think it does add that kind of fun to the game. It is painful though when they do get something like a Tyrion or something like that.
So here's the question I posed to you, Dan.
Yes. Pose it.
I pose you a question. Raven Idol into minions against the control in Zoth Warrior. Would you prefer two extra spells for Yogg, or would you prefer the minions?
I think minions was a bold call, but in general, minions are usually terrible from Raven Idol. The odds of it being a good minion is very low. I think it was a tactical decision from Raven. I just don't think it has really worked out with the ones that he's ended up with.
Yeah, it's always the risk you take, though, right?
Yeah, I think it was a right risk to take. I mean, it's only 2 less spells in theory for the Yogg, and sometimes more spells isn't better with Yogg.
Yes,
a nice kind of compact, maybe 10. Maybe even
a nice 10 spells.
10, I think is alright, isn't it?
Yeah, it's alright.
Probably going to remove a board and put some things on.
I'll be happy with a 10.
Couple of secrets in it, mate.
I'll be happy with a 10 spell Yogg Saran.
What is going on? What just happened?
I think Keenan began mocking my West Country heritage, and that's what happened.
No, I just heard you twinge a little bit. I mean, the thing is, I'm exact opposite. I was born and bred in Norfolk, or rather bred and born, as they say, in Norfolk.
You have no hope on this deck, Munchables.
This deck?
Everything's kicking off.
Munchables has no hope with any deck.
I'm so lost. This is all far too southern for me.
He's from Donny, mate.
The Doncatraz.
So Mysterious is probably just going to be happy to armor up here. He's got board control. He doesn't need to put anything else onto board.
Hey, look, if we end up getting a reverse... I'm not going to jinx it, actually. I'm going to stop that right there. Going to stop that
Hush
right there.
now.
Hush now,
Hush
Kieran.
now. Let's see what it is that Raven has to answer for this, though. 6 damage on the swipe.
Innovate out hero power.
Sweep.
Yeah, that seems pretty tasty.
It's going to be a nice little answer. Plenty of spell damage still on board as well.
And he's kept the warrior around 30 HP.
Yeah, this is what I was going to say. He's kept that pressure up on the warrior, and it does beg to the question of should Mysterious have kept that Justicar from earlier on.
But he's had some pretty good turns throughout, and he wouldn't have been able to make that Barnes turn had he had... He wouldn't have made that Barnes turn had he had Justicar in hand. Remember, that was his turn 6 play.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, we could say all we want about keeping the Justicar, but he's had some pretty big swing turns with his turns regardless. So, you know, it's all hindsight 2020, all that.
Of course.
Yeah. So what do you do here? Chill more and armor up, and then smash the 4-4 with your Gorehowl?
Sounds pretty legit to me. There's multiple options you can take here.
Ravaging Ghoul plus Bash. Plus armor up.
Yeah, Ravaging Ghoul plus Bash seems pretty good, because I think at this point you're worried about Malagos. And you should be, because you're heading towards a turn 10 where Emperor has been active for Raven. You know that if you went down to 26 HP there, you would be borderline. And had he made that play, had he gone down to 26 HP, he would have actually lost the game. No, he wouldn't, because
it's not the full combo.
I felt like Innovate was Moonfire.
It's 20.
Yeah, but if that had been a Moonfire, everybody, he may have actually lost the game.
Well, actually, Blood of the Ancient One going to come down here. I think it's fairly unlikely that it's going to be able to come into its own and merge with anything else this game.
Wait, Faceless... You just wait. YOLO Faceless Manipulator comes out that we haven't seen yet.
There's Justicar.
There's Justicar.
I've said it before, and I will say it again. Faceless Manipulator is the best card in the game.
Hey.
Unlimited potential.
Do you Bash, Shield Slam, run the Ravaging Ghoul? No, you should Bash, Shield Slam, and then play Justicar, maybe?
I would... Yeah, I mean, also I'd think about maybe Execute from Blood to Wicker and then just Justicar and start tanking up as well.
Yeah, that allows you to... yeah, I think I prefer that because it allows you to actually put that extra 4 on straight away rather than just the 3 of the Bash. So there's that 1 extra armor.
There we go. There's the swing card. Raven's head in his hands.
Yeah. And because he has no board presence either now, he has to deal with the board that is in front of him. Hey, well, you could always Yogg.
Yeah. He's played enough spells to make Yogg worth it, right?
I love how drawing that is enough to put Raven's head in his hands. Like, oh god, is this actually my answer?
It's like... So is he going... Yeah, I think this is right. He's going to play Malagos first because you are... Excuse me, you are worried about playing...
Yeah,
Yogg-Saron. You are worried about playing Yogg-Saron.
That's exactly how I think the word in my head every time I see it.
Just in case it has Astral Communion and gets rid of your whole hand. But he has to use those spells to... Yeah, I mean...
Do you innovate your other living roots, get him down to low mana values because you'll be worried about Shield Slam, for instance?
Yeah, something definitely worth saying about that.
We know that Mysterious can actually deal with this, by the way, because he can Shield Slam and then he can use... actually, I can't count because that would actually only be 11, so he'd be 1 off dealing with the Malagos there. So
no, he had tank up, so Shield Slam does.
Yeah, I meant... oh, right, he's going to do it this way, sorry. I was actually thinking he'd do it the other way so he takes less damage, but I realised he was 1 damage off taking Malagos out that way. So, going to play Chill more after. Maybe it feels like Yogg. Is it Yogg time, everybody?
Yogg incoming.
Yogg o'clock.
So what do you want here? Let's...
You want all of the secrets.
Mind control.
And 4 Pyroblasts to enemy face.
As my good friend Lorinda would say, things and stuff. Stuff and things.
Indeed.
You want mind control, you want anything that gives you 6 damage to your hero.
So like... Well,
Ice Owl. Counterspell, Polymorph.
Chill more.
Hey!
Nice.
Now that's actually huge as well, because it means when N'Zoth comes in, Chilmo never died, technically. A random 1/1 sheep did.
Oh, goodbye, Ice.
Well, that sucks.
Oh, Yogg takes some damage.
It's alright, you can restore it back to full health, that's fine.
Yeah.
Drawing cards is never great.
It's not awful.
I mean, drawing cards really depends on how late we are into the game, but Hoverburst onto... I love how Yogg seems to favour specific targets each and every time it's played.
Actually, this is still dealable. I can't remember what the secrets were
I
exactly.
think it might have been a counter spell.
It was definitely
yeah.
a counter spell.
So that could actually be pretty big. I mean,
yeah,
he can follow up with Ancient of War as well. So it's not the end of the world yet. So it's misdirection.
So that's not going to come into play this turn, but it could come into play eventually.
What now for this?
I'm curious to see how this misdirection will affect the game. Whether it will affect the game, or whether it's just going to be a fatigue death. I wouldn't be too surprised to see this end in Raven drawing himself to death.
So the bash will be counterspelled.
Yes.
Do you use your Shield Slam here on...
I feel like 7 damage, even if it's just a 7-2, feels...
Well, you have to use it. You use it on the bear, right? Because in theory, the Yogg has to get through the taunt anyway.
Yeah, but do you use your Gorehowl to take out the 7-2 is what I'm asking.
I don't think so.
You've only got one card in hand, remember.
Yeah, I think you're pretty safe to assume... Well, I was going to say you're safe to assume that Yogg has to deal with that, but realistically... Wraths, even. Living Rootses. All of these other spells.
So I feel like Mysterious is actually getting in a sticky situation here, especially with Moonglade Portal as well. I think he might need to draw ends off.
Oh, absolutely. That's a great draw, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
That's pretty solid coming off Moonglade Portal. I mean, I know there are better 6-drops, but there was also a lot worse 6-drops.
Yeah,
Enzoth, off the top.
Hey-o!
Hey, yo!
It's not amazing, though.
It's,
No.
what did it get you? 1?
There was no Sylvanas played.
No.
Chillmore got deleted by the Polymorph.
It did.
Yeah,
So
definitely get
I
one-
think you get the Infestatoran.
and they get Cairn. So actually,
Oh, Ken as
Yeah.
well, yeah.
it's not...
I mean, it's nice. It's better than nothing, but is it 10 mana nice?
I think it's... I only have this to play nice.
Yeah. I only have this to play. Nice. It's all a matter of it's all a matter of inflection at that point.
I guess it builds up somewhat of a board against what you would assume a deck that doesn't have very many minions left.
I'm curious to see how the rest of this turn is played out. Whether he uses Feral Rage just to get some armor. It's actually just going to drop
Oh, wow, he's going to just...
Jin.
He's going in, boys.
I think he needs to as well, because at this point, if you're not hitting face, like
Yeah.
he is just going to tank up indefinitely.
Sure.
So he needs 1 more damage to... Oh no, okay, he's got rid of that. Any sort of removal of this 5/5? Fireworks just doesn't do it.
Doesn't do it. This kind of makes it... It feels kind of... almost feel like...
Do you go for a brawl here?
That's what I was thinking.
Because you could get your fresh Bane Bloodhoof out as well. I think it's a very risky play, but could pay off dividends.
Yeah, I think what he's doing is the safer of the plays.
Yeah.
So we'll see where this... I think he's actually played around misdirection pretty well here. We'll have to see.
Which isn't something that you usually have to do.
No. But with Yogg-Saron, you always have to think about it, and he's been through a lot of Hunter hero powers here. Where is this going to send it? Where is this going to send it? Face actually would be pretty good, but that's not bad either.
Yeah, Raven was hoping for face.
Well, 16 HP remaining for Mysterious and Raven. He's running out of ideas at this point, running out of ways of dealing with his opponent.
10-10? No.
10. No. Uproot or no. Uproot or riot.
Rito.
Uproot or Rito. How much removal has Mysterious got left, by the way? I feel like there's only 1 Ancient of War in Raven's deck.
Do you Infested Tauren Brawl? Seems a bold move, but...
Bold move, because if it goes wrong, you
Are you panicking too early by doing that? Do you feel?
I feel
I mean,
like
realistically, you can armor up here and...
it's 1 damage a turn, right?
You feel?
you feel me?
You feel, bro?
I think you just armor up
to
and play
tank
it.
up, yeah.
Yeah.
We know that Feral Rage is there, by the way, obviously, for Raven, so...
It's going to Azza Drake to look for answers.
Hey-o!
Hey-o.
There's a Roaring Torch.
Is
He's gonna
that-
be happy with that? That came from Yogg.
Yes.
Magical.
How close to that is lethal next turn? If, let's say, I feel like Brawl is now a turn that you go for Brawl. For sure. I feel like Brawl is a really good option now.
I think you have to, right?
Yeah. Revenge is... how good is...
Really achieve all too much.
No, it would leave both of the opposing minions on 1 if you used your board as well.
Yeah.
Revenge plus Round You Go would be fantastic, but I think you
Brawl.
You might have to Brawl. But it depends how switched on Mysterious was. Did he see the Roaring Torch go into the deck of Raven?
Did he see 2 Roaring Torches go into the deck of Raven?
Did 2 go in?
2 went
So
in, yeah.
I think Raven knows this because Raven is he knows his game plan right now, and it's whether Mysterious has jotted this down as well. And judging by the Brawl, I would suggest he does know.
Ayo! It's not the best, but it's definitely not the worst outcome here.
Oh, that's the Roaring Torch, but he's 6 away. That's a painful situation. He has to drop the Maya Keeper as well. Obviously get that extra minion through. Do you hold on to the Roaring Torches at this point, or do you have to just push him to face?
I think I don't know where his last card is, but I don't think he can win anymore because of that Brawl.
It really sucks for Raven that it's 12 HP for Mysterious, because it means that that Revenge is available to completely clear away the Maya Keeper. One last card in hand. I'm trying to think what it could be, but I don't think I'm not sure there's anything in the deck that could actually save him at this
Unless it
point.
was another Roaring Torch, I'm not sure 3 went in.
No, there's only 2 Roaring Torches that went through, so...
He doesn't have another swipe left, does he? Even that wouldn't be enough right now.
No, I don't know what actually he's got left. He's out of cards, and it's Fandral Staghelm.
A little bit late on the Fandral there.
Which gets dealt with by Revenge.
Yeah, he's still got to deal with it, but it's not going to be enough, unfortunately, for Raven. He has fought hard, and he made the most of this game. I mean, it was closer than I thought it was going to be in the end.
For sure. Revenge into Fiery War Axe into Tank Up. Sounds like a good turn. He's thinking about Grolmash, though. Which also achieves exactly the same thing, but you get a 10, whatever it is. This doesn't go for the... Okay.
Okay, he's just looking to try and end the game at this point. He's still 1 away, but obviously Raven has to draw.
That puts Raven 1
Oh
off
yeah,
lethal.
just against the lethal. He just got fight.
Oh yeah, of course.
Forgot about fatigue.
I didn't even look at Raven's health.
Because I was thinking as well, that puts Raven 1 off lethal.
Yeah.
So that was actually almost very close there for Mysterious.
Yeah, I think he'd calculated the fatigue into that one, and he knew that
He did
in fact have
better
lethal.
than we did, because we didn't get. Well, Munch might have done, but me and Dan definitely didn't.
These pro
calculate
players,
fatigue.
what? Damn them being better than us.
Well, that is going to mean that it's 2-2 now, and Raven, after a 2-0 lead,
Can't give it here.
he's getting in a little bit of trouble. He's in
back.
deep water at this point, and trying to think what the final deck is. It Reno Lock?
Oh, it's Reno. Well,
Reno Lock versus Malagos.
it's
Druid.
Warlock.
Well, we assume it's Reno Lock.
It's Mysterious.
With Mysterious's history, I think it's a fairly safe assumption that it's Reno Lock. We saw it last week. We saw it basically every week of last season. I
but
won't be too
is
surprised.
he finally going to be like, okay, people are going to be predicting me to take this. I'm going to bring something else.
Time for
No,
Sue.
is the answer. As we see, it is Reno Lock. It lost last week to both Paladin and Hunter. So he needs to get the win from it straight away today.
And
Cannot afford any losses.
the issue for me with Mysterious is Renlock does not run as much spots removal as a warrior would. He's going to go for the spells this time round. He's going to end up getting a Wrath off the top. I think he was searching for Wild Growth.
Well, this is the thing. Raven can now try and play the game of there is a possibility of me having a 35 damage combo here. And the Warlock is not going to exceed 30 health.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
can go back up to 30 health, of course, if you get it low.
You take the Living Roots, right? You just take it straight away, because this means that if you get everything in hand for Malagos, you instantaneously win the game no matter what.
Yep. You don't even have to worry about Emperor necessarily.
Yeah,
you do.
Yeah, no, you could have just
Oh,
one
you could
innovate.
have one invade, yeah, of course. So I think Mysterious just has to do his best to kind of build up a threatening board here to try and force as much removal as possible from Raven.
That's nice for Raven. Innovate into Nourish.
So this is exactly the same deck that we saw last week with Sagoth.
Yes.
And I remember you saying it's quite a greedy Warlock deck, isn't it?
It does ramp and I think it tops out at Sligoth the Slitherer. I think it's actually got Jiraxis, but in general, he seemed to have quite a greedy list going into last week. I actually don't know if he's changed it to be a little bit more centered towards aggro, because that's where he was losing with it previously. But like I said, in this matchup, I just feel that Malagos Druid, as with most combo decks like Freeze Mage and the old Malagos Rogue, are all kind of favoured into Reno. Especially against one that won't go further than that 30 HP total. And now that he's got the extra living roots, as long as he can deal with the threats coming at him from the Reno lock, which can be pretty few and far between, I almost just prefer Raven's game plan here. Just get everything in hand, use Reno, you've got Arcane Giants to fill the board in the meantime, and then you get to your use that Thorician, get to your, what is it now going to be, 33 damage combo?
Yeah, I was thinking of with Swipe and Emperor, so yeah, I think you take some off. You take 2 off of it, yeah. So, what's good as well is there's the Wraths for Raven, so he's able to remove those kind of early threats. I can see you counting. You count it up, that's fine. I'm
counting. No, it's fine. It's with 3 Living Roots and 2 Moonfires, each Living Roots is 7 and each Moonfire is 6, so it's 33.
Yep.
This is discounting swipes, by the way.
Yes. So
which
there is a swipe.
Yeah, there is a swipe.
And you would prefer to use those swipes as removal, right? So he could Wrath into swipe here if he wanted to to just draw some cards.
Sure, I prefer using the swipe, I think.
Yeah, Wrath into swipe is nice. And there's another swipe. And you're just constantly reducing the cost of this Arcane Giant as well. You want to drop one of those as soon as possible.
Sure, because the Warlock doesn't have much cheap removal. Oh yes, it's the Cthulhu variant that Mysterious runs, by the way. So we never actually saw Cthulhu get dropped last week. But he does have it there.
I think this week I lost to this specific deck, or a deck similar to it, with a Bran plus double Disciple of Cthulhu that hit me for 8 damage at the end of the game. It felt bad.
That's pretty legit, dude.
It is pretty legit, but of course he won't have 2 copies of it because it is a Reno deck. But it's what do you put on the board?
As far as we know.
we'd like
Maybe
to think
these
so.
are all doubles.
This would be the most
kind of
odd
weird
double.
It's like, haha, you thought it was Reno all along and you didn't push for lethal.
Haha.
But here I am.
With my second
with my
Brand
double
Bronzebeard.
Brand Bronzebeard, yeah.
I don't mind using Refreshment Vendor here, but it looks like Cult Apothecary is the cool, because you're not going to be really facing too many minions on board, so...
I mean, your worry isn't about healing up, really, is it? You've got those tools later.
Swipe Arcane Giant seems like a pretty solid play. Solid play. Oh, baby.
So the Siphon Soul's there to answer, but then that is one of the only answers that you have to these big threat minions. What else do you have?
You need to use Siphon Soul, really, to be honest. Like, you have Bran Bronzebeard, Twilight, Disciple of Twilight into Shadow Bolt, but, you know, that's a fairly lengthy combo.
Another big threat. I was going to say, without that Arcane Giant, what's left in kind of... You've got the Fandral, but then Mysterious may start to build up this board, especially with the Sogoth waiting there for turn 9. He's got the Cairn as well for next turn if he wants it.
I almost feel like Cairn into Coin Sun Fury Protector if it was going to be Arcane Giant, but it's going to be Fandral Staghelm here into Arcane Giant himself, so double threat coming down, both of which seem as scary as the other, especially that we know one Ancient of War exists in Raven's deck.
Do you coin out Rag here? Yeah.
Yeah.
You pray.
Come on, Ragnaros.
Arcane Giant, obviously the
Before
ideal
face.
target, but it's probably going to hit face if we know Ragnaros himself.
Takes out Fandral.
It's fine because it probably forces out the trade as well, so it does deal with that 8/8.
Basically spot removal, right?
Yep.
And you have to deal with it, really, as Raven.
Right, okay, so there are some tools. There are the tools that you need.
So
One more Moonfire as well.
Yeah, you've got 20 damage, literally 20 damage in hand right now. Ooh, and he's thinking about it.
He's basically just saying, like, hey, you gonna use Arena right now? Do you dare go into turn 10? Or I suppose it's technically turn 8, but, you know, I've got 10 mana. I could have Malagos, I could have Combat.
So
So he's putting on the board for more targets for Rag, right?
Yeah,
So
and
he's saying...
he slams 8 damage in next turn, which puts him down to 13, and then he's got lethal with Malagos exactly. So he's exact lethal.
So you... I think here you Disciple of Cthulhu one of the 1/1s.
Yeah.
And then you probably play the Sun Fury Protector.
I think you need to play Sun Fury. In fact, not even think. You need to play Sun Fury Protector.
So you, yeah. He's not even gonna get rid of one of those 1/1s. He values having more taunt on board.
There's a Wrath as well. Could you consider going for the Auctioneer here and searching for the second Moonfire?
I feel like you do.
I feel like Raven doesn't need to panic too much here because he does still have a lot left. He can get rid of that big 8/8 threat.
You probably just double draw, right?
No, he went for the 3, I think.
I went for the 3, okay. Oh, he's
So
going to
you
hero
can
power down,
to
yeah.
finish it off.
And then you deal with Rag.
I think that's important, is that he didn't go, oh, I need to get the damage with Malagos now. He knows that he's still got another Living Roots. One of those Living Roots came out of Raven Idol, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, another Living Roots, another Moonfire. Problem is with the Living Roots is you can't do that in a single combo unless you've got an Innovate, unless you've got Thorazin that's been played earlier on.
And 19 is the max with the next Moonfire, so he's not quite in lethal range just yet, so he'll take a bit of chipping to get to that point. I actually think Mysterious is in a solid position here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I wouldn't mind? Bran into Disciple.
You could even do Bran into Twilight.
Yeah.
Just makes that super tanky minion. And then if he gets Argus later on, then fantastic news.
So he's basically building this huge board and now starting to put the pressure on. I think we've already seen 2 swipes, haven't we? So
Yep.
Yes.
Ancient of War does help, though. It holds off some damage.
Yeah, you've already seen Siphon Soul, but you pretty much know that you're going to lose it. Disciple of Cthulhu as well is in hand right now with a Bran on board.
Yeah.
So
I think what's important is that Mysterious does have that Twisting Nether there as well, and it means that if Raven's like, next turn he's like, okay, I'm just going to put Malagos on, and I'm going to... If he does get worried and starts putting that damage to face, there is a removal for that Malagos.
And Refreshment Event is pretty solid here. I mean, it does heal up Raven as well, but also heals up Mysterious.
I think at this point you could even consider...
This is really good because Dark Peddler.
Yeah, that's true.
Dark Peddler into something like Power Overwhelming would be really good here.
Be awesome. What do we got, boys?
Wow.
Hey, Stone Tusk Boar's not awful. Because it could give you the damage that you need.
Yeah. And he does obviously get it twice because of Bran, but...
Possessed Villager?
Leper Gnome I like, just because it's more damage in the end.
More damage.
And the double funnel cake is always going to be nice.
Now, does he actually run any... Does he actually run Cthulhu, actually? Because we didn't see
he's
it.
not coming up.
No.
to
Yeah,
left,
okay.
So he doesn't. It's just there with to coincide with the Bran, I believe.
Yeah. So we didn't... See, I thought because there was a Disciple that he ran Cthulhu in his list, but we didn't actually... I said we didn't see Cthulhu last week. That's because he didn't have Cthulhu.
I've got to say, he has had so much value out of that Bran Bronze Beard. I think this is like one of the premium Bronze Beards. You don't see many that are this effective. And actually, right now, I think we're maybe looking at a reverse sweep. I don't want to say it too early. I don't want to curse it. But this is looking fantastic for Mysterious. He's got a million answers in hand as well. And Raven...
And he's forced combo pieces, out of... There's Yogg. That could be the...
Okay, Yogg might be the only way out here.
Yeah. But there's Twisting Nether. Like, what's the worst that can happen, right? Twisting Nether comes down.
Yeah, to deal with any kind of board he breaks. Especially he's now having to use all of his tools now to just try and... His Malagos tools to break this board. And you can kind of see it on Raven's face. He looks a little bit dejected now. He knows this game's not going in his favour.
Imagine if Stone Toss Boar is lethal. How great would that be?
Rubbing salt in the wounds.
I think Soggoth the Slitherer
Sounds good to me.
pretty solid play right here from Mysterious, just to say, like, not only do I have this incredibly powerful board, I've also got this horrendous minion to protect it that you can't do anything about.
Yeah. It's whether he buzz play it or not. It's whether he is expecting something like a Yogg. I don't know.
I mean, you can't really... I think as Arena Lock, there's not much playing around Yogg in inverted commas. I mean, apart from tanking up as a warrior, where can you play around Yogg?
So So this is going to come down.
So, one thing I'm not sure, can that be targeted by spells by Yogg?
Yes, I think. I actually don't know.
I can't say I've seen that interaction specifically.
We may find out.
We might find out here.
Pyroblast. To his... Oh no, I thought it was to his own face for a second. The good thing about Yogg going onto a board is there is so many ways you can... so many ways to clear board because there's just more targets.
It's going pretty well so far. He's clearing a decent amount of minions.
Okay, Yogg kills himself. Goodbye, my friend.
As is tradition. So far, nothing has targeted Soggoth.
Twisting Nether. That's
Well, that will take out Soggoth.
Ooh.
Doesn't prove whether or not it's target though.
Demon Wrath is obviously a good answer for these 1-1s.
yeah, for sure. You don't need to use Twisting Nether at this point. It's not an awful Yogg, by the way.
It isn't. I mean, I know you said, like, well, he's got Twisting Nether to follow up, he's got this Demon Wrath, but then what else is he putting on board? Suddenly Raven puts a Malagos on board, and that's a threat. But yes, okay, he's got the Twisting Nether to answer that.
We've got plenty of AoE clear for Mysterious, but there's not going to be that many minions really coming out. It's Sacred Trial as well. It's the secret.
Do you just Twisting Nether now? You tap and Twisting Nether?
100%. You should get rid of that
Because
Malagos.
what other threats does Raven actually have now?
So I'm not sure he's got any... Has he got one Ancient of War left, possibly?
I thought he only ran one.
That may even be the concede coming out of Raven.
Because Doomsayer comes down now, Raven can't play anything afterwards, and then you start filling the hand back up with Mysterious. Mysterious has actually still got multiple things left in his
Still
deck.
got Reno.
Yeah, Reno,
I've
for
not even
instance.
seen Reno.
And you forget, Reno's still a 4/6 body.
Yeah, but even outside of that, like, we're starting to get late on into this game. If this comes to fatigue, Reno is going to be the key to victory for Mysterious.
I mean, it's the case of who's drawn more. I think I can't hover over the cards right now. I would wager that actually Raven's probably drawn more at this point.
So, yeah.
We still got Jiraxxus as well, remember?
He's got a lot of tools. And I'm just not sure Raven has much to play with here.
Yeah, I agree. He's thinking about what is the worst case scenario if he plays Spellbreaker on board Bear. But then, again, you feel like you've almost seen every threat coming out, except for the Moonglade Portal. That could be decent here for Raven, but it also could be terrible.
Okay, what are you looking for? Something like a Sylvanas off the Moongo Portal, perhaps?
He's going to be able to finish off the 4-3 with his own hero power. Drop a Worthless Imp as well.
Can't yet deal with Malagos from hand right now,
No.
Mysterious.
Well, Malagos has already been played.
Did you mean Emperor?
I meant
You meant
Emperor.
Emperor. Yeah.
I was
Sorry,
like,
it's,
that's not too much of a concern for him.
Yeah, it's a long day, boys.
it's been a long day, but we've still got one more series left.
Yeah,
and
exactly. But
And-
that's the fun.
Do you know what's crazy? We're on for our 3-2 prediction next game.
Well,
We're kind of. I mean, there's there's Sylvanas
Sylvanas
for Mysterious.
but then you don't want to play that onto because it almost feels like Sylvanas is getting useless. But
I think Coda's fine here because you've got the Shadow Bolt to follow up later.
yeah, but
He may even Moonglade Portal up his Emperor after using it. I know, okay, you can just use Feral Rage and run
Yeah.
into it. This is fine.
I feel like we're going to have to start tapping into Reno territory soon here for Mysterious. Or Mortal Coil. I think he runs one Mortal Coil. Mortal Coil would be great following a Shadow Bolt, for instance.
Interesting, not using the Moonglade Portal there to just summon more minions. I think he's well aware that Shadow Flame is still going to be a factor in this game and does not want to risk losing multiple minions at this point because, you know, he's running out of threats. Needs to be careful what he uses when now.
So his options here is just a Sylvanas naked, just a Mountain Giant naked, Sylvanas plus Taunt,
Yeah,
just to
Sylvanas
make
plus
sure
Taunt seems good.
just to make sure that 5 damage can't go face.
Does Raven then have to go for the 1-1 or the 50-50 with the... Actually, no, there's no point because he has to kill.
Yep, you have to use your Moonfire here.
And then your Moonglade Portal, but... you can't help but think that Shadowbolt can deal with most of what Moonglade Portal would bring to you with that Defender of Argus too.
I'm trying to think if there's any kind of miraculous minion that could come out of the Moonglade Portal and save the day.
6 mana. Boulder Fist Ogre would be actually not bad, right? That's a 6 mana minion.
Yeah, that's true. I still think Sylvanas is probably one of your best bets. To be honest.
For true.
Even another Emperor to make sure your Worthless Imp and Innovate are still 0 mana.
Back in control, Mysterious goes, and now Raven's running out of cards as well. Yeah, that is him done. And he's going to be looking for a miracle from Moonglade Portal, but
there's still Reno, right? So
yeah, a little shake of the head came out of Raven. I think
he can't play Azure Drake either. So hey, this should all but seal it up now for Mysterious. 6-4 won't do much.
It will not. There is no way of Raven winning this game anymore, so it will be a 3-2 reverse sweep from Mysterious. I think Mysterious knows that. Reno Jackson in hand as well now, just so he can be completely certain of winning this game.
Yeah, there we go.
There we have it. So Raven, despite Raven in the promotions, he was the one getting reverse sweeps. Twice he did reverse sweeps just to make it to this tournament, but then Mysterious shows up today in the second week of the tournament to take his second victory after reverse sweeping Raven. I mean, what do you guys make of that? That was a long drawn out series, but I think very well played by Mysterious.
I think something has to be said. Raven was, I believe today, is one of the only players who's not brought Shaman.
Yes,
he just flat out right, he said this week I'm not going to bring Shaman, and perhaps that says something about losing 3-2 and getting reverse swept.
I mean, he's been incredibly successful with his Murloc Paladin over the months we've had him in. He had both Nzok